This is a really hard week to share, and you'll know why when I tell you. I just sat with our longest standing 1,000-day club guy this week, who was 3,400 days clean, and he had to do a reset. Almost 10 years clean. He's a really good man. And as we sat in my office this week and prayed and wept and talked about it, he's going to help me write an article about, and it'll be basically for men in recovery, but just about how it got there. Like where was the slow erosion? Because, you know, if there was ever a stiff warning for us all, you know, take heed when you think you stand, lest you fall. And it, characteristically, when I get together with the guys in the 1,000-day club and we invite a new guy in, almost without exception, they talk about stay humble, stay doing the same thing, don't take it for granted. They all do the same kind of challenging. And so I just really felt that I needed to build on this. He said something really cool. He reached out, he said, "Hey, can we get together?" I said, "Yeah." And one of the first things he said in my office is, "I knew I had to tell you. I couldn't pretend anymore." And I don't know how long it was. I didn't bother asking. It doesn't matter whether it was a month before he told me. It doesn't matter. But the point is, yeah, it was chilling to me. And so I want to talk this morning about what I've now called covenant lips. We know covenant eyes, as I've made a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully at a young woman, Job 31:1. But covenant lips is basically, I want to speak the truth here with my lips. And I want to make a covenant along that line. And I believe that honesty is not just the best policy, it's the only policy when it comes to recovery. And you'll see why as we walk through some of the scripture together. So here's the scriptural foundation about speaking truth. You know, of course, right from the 10 commandments, the 9th commandment is, you shall not bear false witness or give false testimony against your neighbor. You shall not make up stories about your neighbor. You should not exaggerate. You should not lie to others about your neighbor and get them into trouble. So it's the importance of lying even publicly. But I love what it says in Psalm 19:14. May the words of my mouth and the meditation, what I think about in my heart, be pleasing your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. So may these words that I say and the thoughts that I have, may they be pleasing in your sight, God. The psalmist says in Psalm 31:18, let their lying lips be silenced, for with pride and contempt they speak arrogantly against the righteous. See the connection between lying lips and pride. I'm too proud to acknowledge the truth. Contempt means ill will towards others and almost, I have a right to do this, that kind of contempt. Because it's all with the arrogance there. Psalm 32, blessed is the one whose sin does the Lord not count against them. So God doesn't hold his sin against you. Isn't that great? Okay, so that person is blessed. God doesn't hold my sin against me. But it goes on to say, blessed is the one in whose spirit there was no deceit, that in any of them there was anything deceitful. Wow. Blessed is the one where there's no deceit of any kind inside. Psalm 101, no one who practices deceit will dwell in my house. No one who speaks falsely will stand in my presence. See, God knows what you're thinking, not just what you said. God sees your actions. Yeah, that's part of his omnipresence. He is simultaneously everywhere. He sees all, he knows all, he understands all what I'm thinking. He certainly hears what I say. And no one who practices deceit or speaks falsely will stand in my presence. The proverb puts it this way, and I thought this was quite telling. Proverbs Chapter 6 says, there's 6 things the Lord hates. Pretty strong word, guys. There's 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable for him. Haughty eyes is proud, arrogant. A lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes. So now you're creating things to misrepresent the truth and hurt others. Feet that are quick to rush to evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Notice that 3 of the 7 have to do with manipulation, scheming, lying. A lying tongue, a heart that devises wicked schemes, and a false witness that pours out lies. Those are the things the Lord hates. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 19 to 22 has quite a punch. Hang on to this, guys, because truthful lips endure forever. But a lying tongue lasts only a moment. In other words, the person with a lying tongue will only last a moment. Deceit is in the hearts of those who plot evil, but those who promote peace have joy. No harm overtakes the righteous, but the wicked have their fill of trouble. And the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy. He delights in people that are trustworthy. The gentleman that was 3,000 plus days clean, the Lord delights in him. Why? Because he was trustworthy. He came clean. And but it's hard. It's hard. It was humbling. There were tears. I feel really close to this man. I've known him for a long time. And yeah. Proverbs 26:28. Really interesting comment. A lying tongue hates those it hurts. This is a truth that would really be important for all of us to get. When I lie, I hurt the one I'm lying to. When I lie, I very clearly hurt the one I'm lying to. Matter of fact, many of the women that have talked to me as partners of recovering addicts have said that sometimes they feel that the lying is worse. Some women actually say the lying is worse than his, acting out. Obviously, depending on the nature of the acting out, but the lying hurts you because now I can't trust anything he says. A lying tongue hates those it hurts. When you lie to somebody, the scripture saying you actually hate them. You are hurting them and you hate them. Ouch. Interesting, John chapter 8. And I threw this in here because you all know the expression, that Satan is the father of lies. This is the passage Jesus was referring to because he was talking to the Pharisees who were hypocritical and were walking around under pretense that they were so perfect, but they weren't. And he said to them, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires, the enemy's desires. Satan was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language. What do you speak? Oh, I speak liaism. I speak lies. For he is a liar and the father of all lies. And he is the father of those who make a habit of lying. And so you understand that idea of father of lies is you belong to the devil when you just continue to maintain that stance. So that's why in Ephesians 6, it says, put on the full armor of God that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. And one of his greatest schemes is to keep lying, to fake out others, to keep lying, to give the pretense that you're doing better than you really are. And so it's incredibly important that we put to death anything in us that tends towards lying. So Ephesians chapter 4, one of the clearest New Testament comments about lying. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood on one hand and speak truthfully on the other. Put off anything that is false and speak truthfully to your wingman. Oh, yours doesn't say that, mine does. Put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your wingmen, for we are members all of one ReGroup. We're members of one another. And when you lie to one another, when you lie to guys at your breakout, when you lie to your wife, when you lie to your accountability partner, when you lie to yourself, you're hurting the body. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your spouse. You're hurting your relationship with the Lord. You're hurting the group. And the call to just speak the truth is really clear across Scripture, really clear. Now, I've said for years, on the second page, you'll see it at the top in the green, most addicts are not just addicted sexually, but are equally addicted to lying, withholding, minimizing, telling part truth, telling part of the story that looks like you're telling the truth, but not telling the whole story, outright lying when the spouse says, tell me, are you this? And you are, but you're saying, no, I'm not. Most addicts are equally addicted to lying. And there's two addictions you have to deal with, the sexual addiction and the truth addiction, where you're lying all the time. So then I threw this together called covenant lips. Can you make this commitment? Now listen really closely to this. I promise I will not lie to you, my brothers. This is my solemn oath before God and you. I swear that the communication that I give during ReGroup and the interaction to all members all week through all means shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Covenant lips. I actually am going to likely put together a document that I'm going to call people to sign off on, that you will speak the truth here at ReGroup. So the implications of this are clear, and I thought I would spell them out. Because I make this kind of covenant with my lips to speak the truth, therefore, I will not shade the truth about myself to garner your acceptance. I will not shade the truth in any way, misrepresent the truth. Mm-hmm. Number two, I will not exaggerate my steps towards growth, but be truthful on recovery steps taken. Oh yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah, I did quite a bit of work this week. Be really careful. I will not pretend to be what I am not. I will not minimize my failings so as to mislead you from calling me out. Most of us are so concerned about our reputation, our image. Most of us are concerned because of pride of what the other ones think of us. And so we don't tell the truth. We don't speak the truth. We misrepresent things. And so doing, the other people can't say, hey, listen, I don't know if that's good. And we can't call each other out and call each other to greatness is what I love to say. Fifthly, I will not delay in admitting compromise, the beginning of a slide toward failure. When you start to get casual, when you start to compromise, I mean, no, you haven't really crossed lines yet, but you can see the slide starting to happen towards a relapse. Foolish is the one who doesn't talk to their brothers about, hey, listen, I caught myself kind of sliding. I was watching something I shouldn't. Now, it wasn't really porn, but it was pulling me in that direction, and I know it. It's just a matter of time. That's an honest man who will not delay in admitting compromise, the beginning of a slide towards failure. This man with covenant lips, he will not imply purity when there isn't. You know, those of you who have someone that you're accountable to with covenant eyes, depending on how frequently the report is, you know, the report's, you know, at the least come once a week. Sometimes they might be twice a week. Sometimes it might be daily for a while. But, if you know that there's stuff that you looked at that Covenant Eyes has flagged, and you know that, why wait for the week where the report comes to your accountability partner to have him say, hey, what's up? What's going on here? Now, I'm glad he's doing that, because we need to say, hey, what's up? Why did Covenant Eyes flag this? And then the person says, yeah, I did have a setback. Okay. But why wait for that week to kind of have the system catch you? Why don't you know if, hey, I broke the covenant to stay pure or whatever. I just want you to know I relapsed last night or whatever. But to not delay in admitting compromise and to not withhold for one day the actuality of having a relapse. To be honest about it. And finally, I will humble myself before this group, allowing you, the group, to speak into my life in all things. You see what happens is guys who are starting to slide, they don't need the group. I'll make it without. That's why we have such a pretty clear when it's time to the exit strategy for ReGroup. It's 1 year clean, go through the 12-step program. We like to say do it twice. And then make sure that your counselor, your pastor, and your wife say it's okay for you to quit ReGroup. That's pretty serious right there. But you're going to humble yourself in this group, believing that we can help each other and we can build up each other. And there's strength in numbers. And remember that the opposite of addiction is connection. And the greater connection I have with you, the more open I am and honest I am about you, the more that I can get help. So I had a couple of pretty straight comments here. There's the association of deception. I recognize that when I operate out of deception, I fall under the influence of the father of lies who wants me to carry out his desires, withhold from telling the truth, and steer me away from God's plan for my life. I recognize when I lie, I'm serving the wrong master, and in so doing, I hurt myself, break trust with you, and damage my connection with God. That's my association with the father of lies. Be really careful that you don't make that association. But on the contrary, that you make an affirmation of truthfulness, that you want integrity more than an image with the ReGroup guys, that you value humility more than their honoring you, that you embrace authenticity, the real you is what's here, more than getting people's approval, that you desire honesty and truthfulness more than people's admiration, that you want Jesus clearly more than your addiction. And so that statement says, I choose to believe that integrity, humility, authenticity, and honesty, anchored by my surrender to Jesus, will be the path that the Lord and others will honor. See, God honors me when I'm humble and authentic and I speak the truth and I walk in integrity. God honors that. And so when I surrender to Jesus and ask him to help me to live and walk in this way, oh my goodness, the change that goes on. We don't walk in perfection, but the direction we're going is clear. It's what you do after relapse that matters. It's how you learn from it and you drive forward, reestablishing your integrity, walking in humility and authenticity and honesty. And notice it says that you humble yourselves before the Lord. He's the one that will lift you up. He will lift you up. Don't try to get the approval or the honor, the admiration of men to try to keep an image. We're such proud people, but no, value integrity, humility, authenticity, and honesty as your center core. I can't say it any clearer than this. Stop all lies. Stop all misrepresentation of the truth. Stop all half-truths. Stop all pretending. Stop all explanations that shadow and twist the truth. to stop all lies that honors God. And it's going to be just as hard for many of us to stop the lying as it is to stop the sexual addiction. Covenant lips, man. Can you make a covenant with your lips to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. That's what we need as men in recovery and within ReGroup.